The Ballon d'Or is football's ultimate crown. Win it, and you'll be recognised as one of the greats. Miss out, and you may never get the credit that you fully deserve. Because the stakes are so high, the debate over who truly deserves to win it lights up the footballing world every year, none more fiercely than last year. But what really determines a winner? Goals, trophies, individual genius, or something else? To find out, we turned to data and built a machine learning model, with the end goal being to predict this year's Ballon d'Or winner. If you're curious about how the model was built, the methodology is covered in a separate video. For now, let's dive into the findings and ask ourselves a question: how to win the Ballon d'Or? Firstly, age. Out of the 68 times a Ballon d'Or has been awarded, more than half were given to players aged between 25 and 29, nearly 3 times as many as the next most successful age group. Interestingly, the number of wins by players aged 30 to 34 is almost identical to those aged 20 to 24. Players 35 or older very rarely win. This has only happened on 2 occasions. However, that's still more common than teenagers winning, which has never happened. Next, position. The further up the pitch you play, the more likely you are to win, with more than 80% of Ballon d'Or wins going to players operating in the final third. Of those, forwards are the most successful, earning nearly half of all wins. They are followed by strikers, attacking midfielders, and finally, wingers. Only 3 players have ever won the Ballon d'Or who played in the defensive third. Next, club. The overwhelming majority of wins belong to players who played in a Big 5 league. The most successful league is La Liga, with 34% of all wins, split between Barcelona and Real Madrid. This is followed by Serie A, Bundesliga, the Premier League, and finally Ligue 1. Only 1 player has ever won the award whilst playing outside of a European league, and it took winning the World Cup to make it happen. Next, nationality. Prior to 1995, only Europeans were eligible for the Ballon d'Or. Since then, Europeans and South Americans have shared the award fairly evenly. Africa has produced just 1 winner so far, while no player from Asia, North America or Oceania has ever taken home the award. Looking at individual countries, Argentina has the most wins with 8, all from Lionel Messi. If you're surprised legends such as Diego Maradona never won, remember they weren't eligible. France, Germany, the Netherlands and Portugal are tied for second place with 7 wins each. England, Italy and Brazil come next, all with 5. The sole African to win was from Liberia, George Weah. Talent alone doesn't always cut it. You usually need to back it up with major honours. The vast majority of wins belong to players who won at least 1 Big 3 honour: their domestic league, the Champions League or a major international tournament. It often takes a truly exceptional season or player to win the Ballon d'Or without one of these major honours. And even then, you've got to be an attacker. Only 1 non-attacking player has ever won the Ballon d'Or without a Big 3 honour. To highlight this point, since 2006, 78% of winners had won either the Champions League or a major international tournament that season. In the remaining cases, the Ballon d'Or was won by Lionel Messi or Cristiano Ronaldo. Let's take a look at some stats, specifically club appearances during Ballon d'Or winning seasons. Most winners played at least 30 matches that season. However, there are some notable outliers, the most extreme being Paolo Rossi, Marco van Basten and Brazilian Ronaldo. In each of these cases, their win was driven by standout performances in major international tournaments, in which they also won. The average number of appearances by Ballon d'Or winners is 43. What about club goals? Well, Focusing on attackers, the average number of goals scored by Ballon d'Or winners is 31. This rose significantly in the 21st century to 39. However, that's largely thanks to Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo, as without them, the average drops to 21. Now let's focus on players who didn't win their domestic league, the Champions League, or a major international tournament. Interestingly, they still average 31 goals. This suggests that their wins aren't due to scoring an obscene amount of goals, but something else. Maybe a certain je ne sais quoi. To win the Ballon d'Or, players often need prior recognition. A whopping 87% of winners had previously ranked in the top 10. For example, Luka Modric ranked in the top 10 in 2017 before winning in 2018. The last winner where this didn't apply was Fabio Cannavaro in 2006. Less crucial, but still important, is to have a teammate with you in the top 10. 59% of winners meet this condition. For example, Rodri had Erling Haaland in the top 10 with him when he won in 2024. Ignoring Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo, the last winner where this didn't apply was Andrei Shevchenko in 2004. Now we've arrived at the bit you've been waiting for. Let's take a look at the model's prediction for this year's Ballon d'Or. Just before we dive in, it's important to understand how accurate our model actually is. Since mathematical models can never account for every possible factor, we define a prediction to be accurate if the actual winner is one of the model's 3 most probable winners. Using this definition, the model gets it right in 82% of historical test cases. For our prediction, the model was given the following 20 players to rank, all of whom had excellent seasons and in our view are likely to appear in the Ballon d'Or rankings this year. According to the model, the top 5 most likely players to win this year's Ballon d'Or are as follows, with Robert Lewandowski topping the list. These players are favoured because they're attackers, at or near their physical peak, playing for prestigious clubs, in leagues with a rich history of producing Ballon d'Or winners, from major footballing countries, in Europe or South America, who've won major tournaments, scored plenty of goals, and have received prior Ballon d'Or recognition. Some of the Ballon d'Or favourites that the model doesn't fancy are as follows. These players aren't favoured because they aren't attackers. They are too young. Remember, a teenager has never won. They play in leagues that rarely produce Ballon d'Or winners. They're from countries that have never had a winner. They aren't from Europe or South America. They didn't win the Champions League. They didn't score that many goals. And they've had no prior Ballon d'Or recognition. So, the model thinks the 3 most probable winners are Robert Lewandowski, Ousmane Dembele, and Rafinha. However, data is only part of the story. As alluded to earlier, models such as ours have limitations. Its predictions are based on its methodology. A model with different assumptions, or fed different data, may return a different outcome. For example, the model doesn't account for more subjective factors such as narrative, hype, and aesthetic appeal. As mentioned earlier, the model gets it right 82% of the time. This means that there are a few cases where it has failed to predict the winner. In fact, in many respects, these years were outliers. 2025 may also be an outlier. As the model works by analysing patterns among previous winners and comparing them to the current crop of players, it may struggle when the outcome defies historical trends. Having said all that, combining the results of our model with our personal thoughts, our final prediction is that Ousmane Dembele will win the 2025 Ballon d'Or. Although the model has him as a second most likely choice, the narrative works in his favour. The star player in PSG's first Champions League win, a goal they had long been building towards. So there you have it. That's our prediction. What do you think? Do you agree, or do you have a different favourite in mind? Let us know in the comments below. If you've gotten this far, we just want to say a big thank you for watching. We really appreciate it. Stay tuned for more videos like this. Thank you.